Who is Eileen Laska?
People see my names, they think I'm either white or I'm married to a white.
It's another very exciting moment with a very, very special guest.
So I grew up in a place called Kinango. I don't know that you have heard anything about Kinango.
I have had
Pronunciation. There's river, there's liver. I mean, I never heard something like that.
If you want to become a pilot, you speak to a pilot.
So during the circle when I was 23, what that did for me was to instill the discipline of saving.
If you want to become a billionaire, speak to a billionaire.
You know, I told some guys that come from the village market. I said, no, not village market, real village.
And if you want to be financially free, listen to this conversation that we're just about to have.
When you commit, you commit. You don't even touch this. Man. Just like you don't touch your page.
So, this coaching business has been on a name, has been evolving over time.
Absolutely.
You can just bring us to the present. How are you doing coaching today?
So it's interesting. This year I have not taken any client. Oh, so I have one client that I onboarded last year.
Yes.
But I'm on a break.
Yes.
I'm on a semi-sabbatical, I'm calling it.
Yes.
I took a break and I brought in a CEO partner for the last 2 years now. In fact, he's turning 2 years next month.
Yeah.
And
so you've been on sabbatical for 2 years?
Well, I didn't go immediately, but I started stepping back.
Yes.
You know, like offering support but from a distance and coaching him and helping him settle in as he builds the business. You know, I felt that I am a great coach, but I'm not necessarily a great entrepreneur. Maybe I am, but I felt like the business required someone to scale to the next level. You see, when you've lived with a child over looking at them, you don't even know how they've grown. You don't even realize. People tell you, oh, they've grown tall, oh, they've grown this, but you possibly don't. You see them as children, but they need that. When you have another parent coming in, they see the child for what the child is. So as I've watched my coaching calendar, aka my son Ed, grow, I'm like, Ed has his own personality, has grown, is becoming. Maybe it's time for the business as well to actually get its own personality away from me. You know, there is this whole narrative about founders engulf their businesses. And there comes a time, Pius, you let go to grow. And I'm in that journey of letting go to grow. For the business to grow, for the team to grow, and also for me to grow in other ways.
And that can come with some bit of insecurity. Like, okay, will I be able to take care of my bills? Will I be able? How have you navigated through this season of stepping back? There's something I like saying. If you cannot go on holiday for 6 weeks, I even stretch it sometimes 6 months. And your business is still running. You're running a kiosk.
Maybe you're running a kiosk for a very long time, you know?
But if you can step back for 6 months and your business still can be able to provide and money, cash flows can get to the bank, then you're achieving financial freedom. Achieving financial freedom, which is the whole reason why we're having this conversation.
Exactly.
So just help us to understand these maneuvers that you've had to go through, including any insecurities that you have felt.
So it's very interesting, Pius, that I am not feeling insecure at all. Sometimes I wonder whether I'm normal, you know, because the insecurity will be around, you know, what if the business is closed down? But I have absolute faith in the person that has taken over, Mr. Maurice Matumo. He's a coach like myself. I've known him, you know, for a long time. I'm also a believer that the same thing, that there comes a time you need to work on the business, not in the business. So I feel like in this season, I've been, the last maybe 1.5 years, actually before he came on board, I've been working on the business. And part of working on the business was actually seeking global accreditation so that then we are not running a kiosk, we are running an international business, which we got in 2005. And we've been then on that journey of even keeping a world-class standard of what we offer. Taking training online so that it's not based on one person offering, building a faculty that can deliver, you know, without me. You know, this year we had graduation on 17th of May, and half of the people graduating, actually, I've never met them.
Wow.
You know, it was physical, so it was a bit awkward, like, oh man, these people did it without me, but also such a sense of joy, knowing that actually I can go away.
It can happen.
And training will happen. Because the system is said that everything has been established.
Yeah.
So putting systems together has really helped in structures. So don't feel insecure about whether the business will survive or not. Absolutely at all. Now, the other piece of insecurity would come from maybe being the business owner. What does it mean for my cash flow? What does it mean for my income?
Yes.
So Pius, I'm so privileged to have met you.
Yes.
The reason I said yes to this interview. We met and you told me that you help people do purposeful investments. And I was like, what is that?
Investing with purpose.
Yes, investing with purpose. Like, you know, you need to be clear about what you invest in. So that's interesting. Because, you know, you see, the traditional thinking is that when I make money, I'll buy a plot, I'll buy a house. And that's what I knew, you know, because this, then I can get rent, and one day I can sell this plot. And this plot, when I sell, I can, you know, I can meet my needs if I need cash flow issues. But then, when you told me about investing with a purpose, I'm like, okay, is that investing with a purpose really? Maybe not. And I vividly remember meeting you in a certain event.
Yes.
And telling you, Pius, because we had been trying to look for each other.
Yes.
And both very busy, obviously.
Yes,
I told you,
yes.
you know, Pius, if I retire and I am poor, you are responsible. And I think you took, and I'm so glad you took that statement very seriously, because when you came back to the office, you set up an office for, I mean, a meeting for me and you. And we meet, and you start asking me, so what does, when do you want, what do I want to retire first? I said at 50.
Yeah.
Okay, that was in 2017.
Yes.
So 50 was not very far.
Yeah.
You know, I was 46. So for just close to 46.
Yeah.
So, and you know, I want to retire at 50.
Yeah.
And so you asked me.
I remember that number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you retire at 50, you said you don't want to retire poor. What does not retiring poor look like? Thank God I trained you well as a coach.
Yes.
And I said, you know, I don't want to wake up and I'm worried about school fees. I'm worried about, you know, rent. I'm worried about, you know, if I need to send any medical, have any medical needs. And so you sat down with me and did something I had never done for myself.
Yeah.
Which was putting numbers to these things that are important.
Yeah.
How does it
look like?
Yes, I had never, honestly, I had never sat down and put, I knew school fees is paid, I knew, you know, how do we pay it to my husband, who pays for what. So I knew what my outflows in a month look like. But I had never sat down and asked myself, what would it take not to actually live month by month? But it made me do that. And you, you broke it down to house girl. You need a house girl. I'm like, yeah, I need one. In fact, we call them house managers nowadays.
Yes.
So how much do you want to pay them? How much do you pay them in 5-10 years? How much do you see yourself paying? And I realized, actually, at that time, I don't even need a gardener, you know, because I don't intend to live where I was staying or where I live for that long. I knew I'd be in a place where I would have a gardener. I realized at that time I may not want to drive. I'll need a driver, you know. I drive myself, so I have a driver, but at that point I see possibly myself not wanting, and it's true, I don't enjoy driving at all. I guess the kindergarten girl still lives on.
The kindergarten girl lives on.
Yeah, and so you broke it down and gave me a figure. Yes, do you do holidays? Yeah, but again, I'm not a holiday person. I like traveling once in a while, but I'm not a holiday. I love my house. I love my space. I love my bed. So I'm not those people who would be like going to live in a grass-thatched house and calling it a cottage. I grew up in one, Pius.
Yes.
You know, those are not things that will excite me.
This cottage thing is not working.
Like, man, that's what I worked so hard to get out from. You know what I mean? So, but he broke it down for me and gave me a number. He told me, Eileen, if you're able to put together a portfolio of X, imagine you can live this life without worrying every day. So let me make a confession. When I left this office, I told myself, this dude works with rich guys. So these figures he's mentioning, they are not for me, and I don't see how. But then you told me about the power of starting small, the power of commitment. Okay, and starting small and commitment. So I went with those words, all right? And you also helped me see how that apartment I owned, I was not making money. I thought I was making money, by the way. And I can, for context of the viewers, I would say, so this apartment that had costed me 8 million.
8 million.
Yeah, which of course was done through a mortgage arrangement.
Yeah.
So the ultimate figure that I paid, including legal fees and everything else, could have been in the range of 10 million or thereabouts.
Yeah.
Okay. But this is about because of where it's located, the monthly rent then was, I think, 50,000 per month.
Yeah.
And 5,000 went to service charge. So I was left with 45. Those are the things that made me now reflect on.
Yes,
So how much do you remain with 45? Okay. And so do you have tenants throughout the year? I'm like, well, if you're lucky, you can. But there are times you have tenants coming in and going out. Some don't even pay the rent in time.
Yeah.
And then once they leave, the house is in a mess. You've got to repair the house. Before you realize you've spent another 100,000 on the house, you wait for another 2 months. Agent gives you a tenant, and they charge you a month also of rent. And so eventually it ended up becoming, maybe I earn cumulatively, and I rented that from that place maybe for maybe 7 or 8 months in a year.
Yeah.
We did the maths, and he told me, Eileen, with that very money, today if you dispose that apartment and put this money in fixed income capital, income fund, or even money market, you'd make a minimum of 10%. Meaning you'd be able to earn double what you're earning, stress-free, without ever thinking the tenant is going to pay you or not. And I was like, really? So,
and the money shows in the bank.
The money shows, yes, without having
sending
to
reminders.
Yeah, as long as the end month comes, the money will be there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I went to him and it's like, okay, fine. This figure this guy has given me is out of this world. But he told me, start small, stay committed.
Stay committed.
So the first thing I did was to try and dispose that property. What was annoying is that it wasn't selling a piece of cake. It took longer to get that thing sold.
Yeah.
And I even gave, like, at a flat, like, this is what I bought. I'm going to sell it at this much. I don't care what the market rates are.
Just give me the cost.
Just give me the cost. Because I knew if I get that cost, put it in NAB or fixed income fund, end of 1 year I'll have recovered whatever I would have lost. And stress-free, you know? So that's what I left here with. And I sold it, but I opened the fund. I started putting little monies, you know. When you told me it's the minimum I should put in, I don't remember what the figure you gave me, but really I don't have that kind of money. So you start with whatever you have. And that started humble beginnings again. Thanks to Kinangop Life, I know about humble beginnings. And it was so interesting how...
Start the dream.
Yes. It was so interesting when I was armed with the vision of how much is my enough. Because that's a big one.
That's a big one.
Yeah. How much is my enough? And you help me do that.
Yeah.
And I hope you have a team that's helping other Kenyans and non-Kenyans to do that, because that's a big question. How much is my enough? And when you talk about financial freedom, it's not having all the money you want in the world. I don't have all the money I want in the world. Yeah. It's not about amassing and owning everything. I'm not that kind of a person. I'm actually not wired that way. Luckily, again, thanks to my background of spiritual background, I'm not here to, you know, I'm in the world for a short time. And all I want with this journey I am on with the NABO, all I want is to be able to know my priorities and align my finances accordingly.